And today I have two very experienced gentlemen in Kenyan football in the house. Of course, the chairman of Mahia, Mr. Ambrose Rachier. Hi, Ambrose. How are you doing?
I'm quite fine, although fairly scared by this ongoing pandemic, which has taken my freedom away and me hungrier than I was some few months ago.
You know, there's someone who said they're tuning in to listen to your English. And I can see you've hit the ball rolling. You've hit the ground running. And yeah. I'm also joined by the chairman of AFC Leopards, Dr. Dan Shikanda. Bariako.
Salama Rachier. Me, you want me to talk Swa?
You called me Rachier.
Radull. Me, you want me to talk Swa?
You talk English that everyone understands. This one is the Queen's English. Guys, let's get into a bit of serious business. And I want to start with you, Shikanda. First of all, tell people about your football journey, very briefly, like 2 to 3 minutes.
My football journey, I can say it's been a lifetime. Played football at some point in the estate. From there, I went to a team called Black Mamba. I started with Bejos, Black Mamba. Then after Black Mamba, I went to AFC Leopards, Mahia. And finally, I'm seated here as AFC chair. And the reason why I saw it was important to come and actually be the chair of AFC, I think during our times, I can use the word, maybe we were somehow, I can say there's so much I saw was not being done, that if it were done during our time, maybe we could have gone so far. But because it was not done, because of lack of a few things here and there, I saw it was important one day I must be there and do what was not done at that time, so that at the end of the day, we can actually take our football to where it's supposed to be.
I'll get to some of the challenges that you face both as a player and now as a chairman. I just want, for those who don't know Ambrose Rachier, I want a bit of introduction from you as well.
Yeah, thank you. I first played football as a young man of about 6 to 10 years when we used to play football naked. And we used to do so while it was raining.
Do you have some photographs?
Yes, we do have some.
I want to see them.
At 6, you don't need to be scared. So I used to play football at that age, and we liked it most when it was raining, and we played it in the rain and in the mud. Subsequently, I played for the Alliance High School, a fullback, and I was called Checkpoint. It was very difficult to pass me. After that, I then played for l'Université de Madagascar, again as a back. In 1971, I played for University of Madagascar in Tananarive. After that, again, I played for University of Dar es Salaam, and eventually I became a spectator in 1968 when GOR was formed. I was right there at the City Stadium. And subsequently, in 2008, I became the chairman of Mahia until today, and they refer to me as Mugabe.
There's an election I presided over, Mahia election. Can you remember?
Yes, I do remember.
I was happy you won,
right?
Because we wanted to bring football back to where it belongs.
I'm very grateful, although you did not read it.
Shikanda, at some point you need to address this. You played for both Mahia and you played for AFC Leopards, and I know you were branded a traitor for playing for both teams. How did it come about that you played, let me say, for Mahia?
A good question. I started with AFC. You know, the days we used to play, any good Luya player will go to AFC, any good Luo player will go to Mahia. It was like a script. And then we had Swahili players like Mahmoud Abbas or Abbas Magongo. There is where the two clubs could fight. But for you being a Luya, it was obvious you'll go to FC, and for you being Luya, it was obvious you'll go to Mahia. But things changed. I played for FC for 5 years, and it reached a time where I was doing exams at the university, and FC and GOR were going to play a crucial match. The winner takes it all. I was at the university doing exams, so those 2 weeks I did not actually attend the training sessions. I was not in camp. Those days, it was serious business. When FC was meeting GOR, you were taken very far. Your parents will not know where you are, your families. You were enclosed somewhere for 2 weeks. Then you just appear on the match day play. Then after that, you go. And those games, you used to decide who takes the league. So FC had just done elections. And Sambu was re-elected as chairman, and Wafula Msami was re-elected as secretary. But Sambu refused to work with Wafula Msamia. So he decided it's either Wafula Msamia as secretary, as chairman. One of them has to leave. So Sambu decided, if Wafula stays, I leave. So he left. Wafula Msamia brought in Gumo to be the acting chair. And Gumo was at City Hall as acting mayor. By the way, nothing like that was happening. These are just the normal politics you see. So by the time we were meeting Gor Mahia, we were actually ahead. Lost some 1 or 2 matches and drew. So Gor closed the gap. And those days it was 2. When you win, it was 2 points. So Gor were just a point below AFC. So when AFC played Gor Mahia, it was a Saturday. Gor won. I remember Polo Cheng scoring a free kick. Gor won 1-0, and they jumped AFC. Now it was obvious Gor. So after that match, there was a purge at Leopards. There was some players, and myself. On Friday, there was the Zimbabwean national team, which was touring the country, and it had the likes of Peter Ndolovu, who was playing at Coventry. So we played after them, the university team, Red Brigade. We beat them 4-1, and they had beaten Tusker, they had beaten Kenya Breweries. Then they played us, we beat them 4-1. So on the papers that Saturday, there was a big story. I had scored a hat-trick. Then Gor Mahia beat us on that Saturday. So come next week, definitely the office had to look for excuses why they lost to Gor Mahia. And the excuse was Sambu bribed some players not to give their best, and others didn't play. So I was put in that group. So when I finished exams, reverting back to training, because we finished exams, I was in second year, I think I was first year.
So eventually the show is only 1 hour, so I need to speed it along a bit.
So we were suspended. So after being suspended, we were to face some disciplinary committees, explain yourself. I tried to explain myself. I was doing exams. No one listened. But I told them my exams were more important than these matches. So after that, we were suspended. In fact, me, I was not let go. There were guys who were let go. Myself and Kisanya, we were suspended for 2 years. Now suspending me for 2 years, and I'm now going for long holiday. You remember the double intake? You go home for 6 months. It was time to play football. So I started playing with Wazee Wakazi, Kina JJ. So we played a friend with Gor Mahia.
Eventually you joined Gor Mahia.
Eventually Gor Mahia saw me playing against them.
The show is only 1 hour, Shikanda.
So now Len Julian, we played a friend with them, and Len Julian decided, who is this left winger? And he went and told our chairman that if I get this player, I can actually give a big shot in the Continental. That's how I joined Gor Mahia. Wow. So having been suspended,
that should have been a separate show altogether.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Yes.
So but it was courtesy of Omino who said that being a student, a club cannot deny you moving on. When Gor Mahia said they wanted me to play for them, maybe for the next 2 seasons as I'm suspended.
You had no choice but to join Gor Mahia.
Wow,
that's a book.
That's a book.
There's a comment here already from Sharinyo. She says, Alliance ilikuwa inafunga hata Ofafa Jericho, Rachier akiwa captain. He was bad!
Ofafa Jericho was not there those days.
He was bad news.
Yes, that was bad news at the back, as I said.
So I just want to ask, how did you decide to go from being a fan, a player in your younger days, and then I gather you chose law over football?
Yes.
And then from being a fan to deciding I want to be the chairman of Gor Mahia.
Actually, I wasn't a great footballer. Let me say, not the level of Dan Shikanda. I never played even in Division 4, Division 3. I was just a football for fun at school, at university. And then after time was over, after schooling was over, that is after finishing university, I decided to become a fan. Now, as a fan, I watched matches. I traveled out of the country into Dar es Salaam to watch matches. And eventually, sometime in 2008, as I was sitting in my law office at Reinsurance Plaza, I had a very noisy group outside who came and frog marched me to the city stadium to be elected as the Gor Mahia chairman. But because the reigning chairman at that time, Erastus Okun, was my very good friend, I told him, look, I cannot accept this. So eventually, the elections were put off for 1 week on condition that I was still going to run. And eventually, I talked to Erastus, and he said, please take over. It's not very easy. So I went, and with his blessings, he came to the elections, and I was elected one Sunday in May 2008 as the chairman of Gor Mahia. That's how I became chairman. I was a reluctant chairperson, but I was kind of frog-marched into it.
A reluctant chairperson still in office 10 years later.
Yes, because there are things to be, yes, plus things to be fixed. Mission
Obviously
not complete.
they came for you, and this is a question for both of you, because there were challenges in the club. So I want to know what challenges you faced, you as a player and of course as a chairman now, and you as a fan, or what the challenges you saw within Gor Mahia, and the ones you have experienced as chairman, because I want us to get into some of the problems facing our clubs today.
Let me start. When I came into Gor Mahia, I think before getting into the chair, the problem that I observed was financial problems. There was no money to run the club, and we were actually tired of doing donations at each and every game. Somebody went round with the kofia and the kofia and all that thing. So we were struggling. So a great problem which I experienced until today is finances for running football. And one of the reasons that the fans were saying, let's look for somebody who can perhaps organize it better to be able to attract sponsorship. Number two was the problem of low fan attendance, football match attendance. There were practically no people coming to, no fans coming to watch the games. And I remember the first match that I ever organized, we were able to collect 8,000 shillings. And
this was around
2008. Yeah. The first match we collected only 8,000 shillings, while of course the salaries were also low, because the highest 9,000 shillings per month. That is the highest paid player. Yeah, and particularly the lack of stadia in Nairobi. I think at that time it was just mainly the city and Nyayo was just coming up, but mainly it was we had problems of stadia, and without taking all the time, there were many wrangles at the federation level.
That in fact, I want to get into that, but I want to first hear from Shikanda. Remember, Shikanda, it's a 1-hour show. As a player, what are some of the challenges you went through that eventually made you feel I can, or at least I think I can turn these problems into solutions?
I think when I was playing football, both at AFC and Gor Mahia, I realized there was no organization in the leadership and in the planning of the team. I played for FC in the 80s and Gor in the 90s. The problems which were there were more of financial. The only thing that people took serious was when we were going to play Gor, and vice versa when we were going to play FC. But all these other matches were like everybody for himself, God for us all. Officials could just come maybe when you are going to play a big match, or when they know that there's a crisis happening. So you find that the team we had, the players we had at that time, could give their all. But I felt that officials were not giving their all. And being, when you're playing for a big team like AFC or like Gor Mahia, and you're seeing so many gaps that if they were covered, I can give you a good example. When we were playing Zamalek here, when I was in Gor Mahia, we never trained for 3 days because we didn't have a place to go and train. Zamalek came early, and they took over City Stadium and Nyayo, where we were supposed to train. Nyayo, we were not allowed. We used to train at City Stadium. They came to train at City Stadium as Nyayo was being fixed. So you find that at the end of the day, they were given a priority over us, the home team. And that one actually eliminated us from that, and it was quarters. If we could have beaten them, we could have gone to semis. So I found out that no one was keen to see that we prepare well. When I was in FC, we were going to play in Madagascar, and you find that a whole week after playing the home match, you play a league match first, then you go the second week. The second week, there is no money to go for the match. Then last minute, the money resurfaces. Then you go. So you start wondering, if we are not focusing on how we are going to play, we are focusing on no money, no preparations, then there's something amiss. And all said and done, you find that the management, I engaged some 2 officials one time, especially when I was in Gor Mahia, I was a bit mature, and I realized there was no even strategic plan on how we can actually move these clubs from where we are to the next level. And it was amazing.
Do you have a strategic plan now as
Yes.
AFC Leopards chairman?
AFC Leopards will be launching a strategic plan. We've actually finished working on it, and we'll be launching the strategic plan soon. If we didn't have the pandemic, I think we could have done it by now. But it has been done by both our members, fans, and key stakeholders. A strategic plan which will take us for 5 years. And that strategic plan actually addresses the key issues that a football team needs to have. We as a football team, we don't have the basic infrastructure to compete the West Africans, the North Africans. So we are just playing because there's a fixture which has been done for us to play. So you find that we have a team which is participating in the league, but I think we don't know our standards where we are supposed to be. That's why when I was coming in as chair, and my senior here was saying he's stepping down, it could have been disastrous for him to step down, because I knew if he's out of the way, Gor will come down. I'm not saying he's the only one who can run Gor, but the standard he had set, it is important for us to make sure we hit them and surpass them. So there is actually a target that we have. We must hit them, we must close the gap, pass them, and make sure that we move to the next level.
There is someone who asked on Twitter when you're going to, because you said you're going to quit by the end of the year, and you're still in office, but I understand there are some projects you want to see through.
Yeah, before I come to the projects, first of all, I want to congratulate my friend Dan here for developing a strategic plan. The challenge that you're going to find soon is implementation because of lack of funding. We developed ours much earlier, and our problem has been implementation for lack of finances, because you cannot implement without funds. Now, my story of on and off living and not living, I want to first of all just make some a controversial statement about why is this blowing hot and cold. When you are a captain of a sinking ship, you do not jump out and run and let the ship sink. You need to go, and yes, so we are at a very bad stage at the moment, because if you talk to our players, they're going hungry, they're getting thrown out of their houses. It reaches a stage when, just as you have stated, what used to happen in those 90s is recurring because of lack of sponsorship that we are having, and lack of the support by our own funds in terms of participation. If you go to the stadium nowadays, there's very poor attendance, and those who come because of poverty, again, just want to jump over and to get into the stadium without paying. So we end up with revenues, and I was telling Carol just before you came in here that sometimes we only realize revenue of 7,000 shillings after spending over 100,000 shillings. So yes. So that is where what I mean by saying we're sinking, because when you have no finances and a team and a huge budget, you really do not run away at that particular time when the house is burning. And so exactly what I'm saying at the moment is that I changed the mind. I say, look, I'll be blamed forever for abandoning God when it needed me most at that time.
But why, Rachier, if I may ask, you've been there for just over 10 years. By now, shouldn't Gor Mahia be stable? Isn't it a big enough club to be stable by now? What are the challenges that have made that not achievable?
That is a very good question, and I'll split it into two in terms of how do you measure success of a team. I brag and I'm proud that our core business is playing football, number one, and that in the last 10 years we've taken the league 6 times. Very, very good.
Congratulations.
Yes, a very good, a good achievement. To me, that's my first point of measurement. The next one is just financial stability, Now, that is where I can say I have failed. And the failure is not because of mismanagement or difficult or inability to manage it. As I say, you need a strategic plan that helps you to develop. I had plans, for example, of getting a bus. Yes, I got a bus for the team. I have established a SACCO for members to be able to participate. I have got sponsors that came on board. I got Tuzo as a sponsor. I got SportPesa as a sponsor. And the departure of the sponsor is one of those reasons, or the departure twice. First, Tuzo, when they left us hanging somewhere. We struggled for 2 years, again, not able to, you cannot implement the projects that would bring stability. And lastly, of course, we need fans participation. And the fans haven't done very well, really, in terms of participation. Clubs like Barcelona, from which we can learn a lot, where members, you don't have sponsorship. That is where we should be going on. But then I would want to say, either for attitude or poverty issues, our fans are not participating as much as we want. So I want to end it there, just by briefly saying the reason I have not progressed to implement the strategic plan that I got developed quite some time ago is financial challenges.
And financial challenges are a thing, I keep hearing it over and over again by the league, from previous guests I've had. The league doesn't have money, the clubs don't have money. But how do we reach a point where the clubs are self-sustaining? Because, and in a case like Mahia, Rachier, unfortunately a few years ago, I wanted to buy a jersey, and I keep telling these people this story, and referred to an official, and I bought a Mahia. I actually bought, I think, 4 or 5 jerseys, because my parents had. And then I find out that it is an official selling jerseys as a side hustle. It has nothing to do with the club itself. So those are some, I think, internal administrative challenges that you also have to deal with as chairman. How do you rein in on your own team? I
can quickly just respond to that without taking more than half a minute. Yes, that is quite true, and I would say it is more than that. Piracy is one problem that we fail. We cannot be able to sell any kind of merchandise, because once we bring, for example, replica jersey that costs 2,000 shillings, within the week, some pirates have taken it and copied it in China and brought it back at 800 shillings. So fans just want something that resembles the gore jersey. So we lose revenue, and I can tell you, in each and every attempt that we've made to raise funds through merchandise, we have been hit by piracy. Thank you.
Maybe, Carol, to just answer the question you've actually posed about buying merchandise from an official. I think what these two clubs have lacked, and it's upon us as the leadership of these clubs to put in place, is some structures which can actually be put in place so that when you want to buy a jersey, there's an official shop. Because my senior is talking about even small boys supporting these teams. It boils down to a one-man show. And that is exactly what I am trying to address as chair of AFC. It's not about Shikanda. Shikanda is not AFC Leopards. Shikanda is just a custodian for these 2 terms, to make sure that we put some structures in place so that FC becomes a true football team, where people will know this is the home of FC, where people will know that if I need anything of FC, this is where to get it. And it will be paramount to make sure that the few members we have actually have actually pushed us through the season. We have about 15 to 2,000 members, paid up members, who have actually, without a sponsor, we have gone through the league. And I can proudly say, you've never had FC Leopards players going on strike. They haven't been paid. It's not that they have been paid. It is how it has been handled, and the hopes you've given them. And when you tell them, this is what we'll give at this particular moment, it comes. But we need to go above the financial challenges that we are having. The problem in this country, and it is very disappointing if you see how even the government treats sports and football. Sport is just michezo, something for people to play to play with it. If you go to the UK, they'll put football on the front page. But in Kenya, you'll find football at the last page. During news, sports is at the last page.
And given 4 minutes.
And given in fact, 4 minutes, that's a lot of time. Has been anyone who is failing, in fact, I congratulate Mr. Rachier as a top-notch lawyer. He actually has ventured in football to save Gor Mahia. Anyone who is failing is the one who goes to sports. Because uko ni where people have failed.
Where idlers go.
We need to change that mentality. I've been frustrated the 8 months I've been at the helm at FC. When you sit down with somebody to talk to, I talked to a governor, gave him our problems, a governor from Western Province, and the answer he gave me, hallelujah, how did they elect you as chairman? You see, you're poor, you can't pay salaries. So, you see, it's not about the chairman. It's about all of us coming together. And once we drop this tag of football being part-time or being just something or football and sports being part-time, is when we will start now reaping from football. Because it's the biggest industry. Our people, for example, myself and Rachier, our members, our fans, everybody, they're serious consumers. How can we think outside the box so that where they spend the money, we take the club there? Our core business here is to play football. But you see, as he has said, football will not grow when you're paying a player 9,000 shillings. He'll play for you football worth 9,000. When you're paying your number 9 from...
If you pay peanuts, you get monkeys.
You pay... He had a very good number 9 from Rwanda. Yeah? Yes. You pay him 200,000, Medikagere. He will score for you goals worth 200,000. But now, when we are struggling, for example, when I inherited the FC, I looked at the salary structures, and I knew we shall not win the league when we are playing at this level. Because if Gor Mahia can buy a player for 2 million and pay that player 200,000, and I'm buying a player at 50,000 and paying him 40,000, they will not compete. So we need to change. And when we start saying that the teams do not have money, we actually, like my strategic plan, it's more of how we can venture outside football to make money outside there and come and sponsor our core business. Because our core business is football. Because no one will listen to you when you're building a stadium and you're not winning matches. When you're beaten by Homeboys, you're beaten by Sofapaka, they will ask you questions. But you rather beat them, you rather win your matches, beat Gor Mahia, but at the end of the day, I have chairmen who say, during my time, Gor Mahia never beat us. But what did they do for the club? Nothing.
Then I want to, Carol, before you ask the question, I just wanted just to push 2 quick points about financing and about problems. One is that I want to chide the government, both the central government and the local government. One of our problems is lack of stadia.
Yes.
One of our problems is lack of stadia. City Stadium has been closed for, I don't know, for 6 years. Now, that is a place where you can get funds easily coming. Nyayo Stadium has been closed since 2017 or 2016. 2016. Most of our funds would be around just within. So they find it very difficult to get to Kasarani, and therefore we have a dwindling income from matches. We have to go to Machakos, and those are the places where you collect 7,000 shillings. So the government, local government, should do something about stadia. And finally, the main government, whatever happened to the sports fund. Whatever happened to the sports fund.
An interesting question to you.
Yes.
How do we have a sports fund and the winner of the league gets nothing? How much have you gotten for 2 years for winning the league? Zero. If the government is serious with football, from the sports fund, let them remove 200 million and say the champions or the team that wins the league takes 200 million. I can assure you, you will see football.
And where has it gone to?
I know that right now we're in a position where we would like the government to come in and rescue our football, but I believe personally that league football should sustain itself with sponsors and fans. That is, if the fans are there, the sponsors would be there. Because the sponsors, I believe, don't come because they don't know who... I
want to agree with you, yes, that the central role should be played by our fans. And as I've just said, one of our problems is that where do the fans go to when there is no stadium?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a cycle.
Yes, I have to take my team to Kisumu. I have to pay air and I have to pay for accommodation. I spend almost 1 million shillings in that, and I collect 133,000 shillings from Kisumu when I'm coming.
After spending 1 million.
Yeah. So the first step, the government needs to sort out the stadium, the infrastructure.
Radull, I have played my home matches. I've played in 8 different stadiums. home match, FC is home ground, we go to Buhungu, we go to Mumias, we go to Narok, we go to
There's Machakos, there's
we go to Nakuru,
Kasarani.
we were even Kasarani. We imagine home ground. Then you give your fans, your members, uncertainty. They can't plan. They don't know where they will play next. And it is your home match, you're supposed to collect some revenue. When you go to Kakamega, how much do you spend? 800,000. How much are you going to get? 90,000, 120,000.
It doesn't make financial sense. I have a question here from Solomon Alubala. I think you both know him. He says the big issue is the structure of our clubs. Fans cannot own a stake as it is. Do you think that the model of the clubs in the club?
Well, I'll give you a good. About 5 of whom only actively participate. So there is some point about the Sports Act. Now,
like it's wrong. But I have all this noise, Leopards should go corporate, should do this. But how do you take a team which is like air, become a corporate? We need to put in these structures. And these structures I'm talking about, for example, when you go to, if you're a member of Pastor Nganga's church, there is actually a place, this is Pastor Nganga's church. I go there. But FC, what will you tell people? When you're turning it into a corporate, so I'm coming to buy shares.
In what?
In what? So these things actually need to be worked on. Put a structure in place first. For example, what we are doing at Leopards, we've come up with a media team. We want the media team to show our members what actually happens in AFC from Monday to Sunday. Let it not just be a weekend affair that you will think of AFC just over the weekend. We want you to think of AFC from Monday to Sunday. Then now there you'll start getting some interest. Then when we have 1 or 2 things, for example, now we have state-of-the-art bus. We can talk about it. You can now say, me as so-and-so, I do this business. I want to market it on the FC bus. You're actually giving the club something, and you're getting something in return. Then there we move to the next level, etc., etc. But just saying the structure is wrong, what next? Float shares. Float shares for what?
Somebody here has said, Dennis Hamisi, he says, Radull, sponsorship can never help clubs that much because here it is like a handout. Let clubs have businesses to run day-to-day activities. Big clubs should have their own stadiums. So there are several things there, and I think you mentioned running businesses, but I'm not sure if it's not your core business, should clubs really be in the business of running businesses to support themselves?
You know why? Our members are doing something out there. For example, our members are consumers. Imagine if today we have an ingwe fry, mafuta kupika, and each household cooks. And then on the shelf, an FC member comes and sees ingwe fry and then sees Elianto. I'm sure he'll buy ingwe fry. If you're getting something from there.
Like we had Mahia bread at some point.
Mahia bread, yeah.
Yes.
You see,
it would be sold out in Kisumu by 8 a.m.
Carol, there is where we should go. Because if we tell people come to the stadium, they're not coming. How are we going to run football through membership and through people coming to the stadium and they're not coming? Let's catch them where they are so that they'll support us. The 5 shillings we'll get from that ingwe water, that 5 shillings will go a long way in actually making sure that we can pay the players something.
My view about this person who says that our sponsorships are handouts, I think we've not built our brand enough and made it attractive enough to demand sponsorship. Because I keep saying, yes, you were sponsored by SportPesa, you're sponsored by SportPesa. If you compare the amount they were giving Kenyan clubs versus the amount they were giving English clubs, it's almost an insult what Gor Mahia and AFC Leopards were getting. But because nobody else is stepping up to sponsor you, you just accept it. Yeah.
Yes, yes and no, Carol. You see, to me, yes, we are cheap because of lack of competition. You will always see that sponsors would come for Gor Mahia and come for FC, and they give us handouts. We really do not have any bargaining position. All they do is normally come up with what they think is the right one. When you saw figures of from betting, I think about, is it 3 just this week?
Yes.
Did you see 19 billion?
Yes.
Yes. So when who gives that value? It comes from us. we are betting, and we are making others bet.
So our members
here.
betting.
Just locally, our members are betting.
Yeah.
So if we are able to generate 19 million by one company, why should we be paid 60 million shillings only in a year?
Built, because, for example, and I want us to take a break, and then you can answer this after the break. You said you had, was it 2,000 active fans?
Yeah.
Who've helped paid up fans who've got you through the season. A club like AFC Leopards, in my view, should be having 1 million, not 2,000. And if you can take that 2,000 to a company, they will not give you 60 million. They will give you better value. But I want us to take a short break. When we come back, I'll let you answer that question. I'll also take more of your comments, and the phones will be open after the break. And remember, I'm giving away 2,000 shillings, 1,000 shillings of airtime to 2 people who are watching today. I've already given away 1,000 shillings. The second will be given out in the second half of the show. We'll see you in a bit. So I'll let you explain that, because
Hi guys, this is Radull here just to try and encourage you guys during these difficult times that the world is facing. Just want to encourage you guys by urging you to keep on keeping a positive mindset, by just trying to find something that you can be genuinely grateful for each and every day. You know, for me, that has worked magic. You know, that one little thing that I look forward to each and every day is what has kept me going through every second, through every minute, through every hour, every day and week of these trying times, guys. Like today, just having the health of coming to the gym, even though our season has been halted by the COVID-19, just like any other leagues, coming in the gym, keeping fit, break a sweat, have a good workout is something that I'm extremely grateful for. So guys, just find something you can be grateful for. It will help you. It's really important. And as you do that, remember to keep on keeping safe, take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, your neighbors, your countrymen. If you can, share the little that you have with the less fortunate, those who have nothing at all. And also remember, for all your sports entertainment and updates, stay tuned here on Radull Live. And hopefully, guys, I hope to see you soon. Ciao, and God bless.
Welcome back to Radull Live. I'm here with the Mahia chairman, Ambrose Rachier, and the AFC Leopards chairman, Dr. Dan Shikanda. And we're talking about the challenges that are facing the Kenyan game, and in particular, the biggest clubs, the 2 biggest clubs in Kenya. You know, your 2 clubs should be the SI unit, so to speak, for any other club in Kenya. There's no other club that's going to overtake you anytime soon. So I think it's such an important conversation to have with the 2 of you. And before the break, I asked you a question, Dan, and it was that you had 2,000 registered fans, paid up fans for AFC Leopards in the last league season. And I say, shame on AFC Leopards fans, because I would expect to be hearing figures like 500,000 paid up fans.
There is a myth that we have 6 million AFC Leopards members. But when I got into office, in fact, this myth I wanted to bust it, of these 6 million members. But I realized we cannot raise membership if we are only an item on the weekend. And that's why we put together a team which has been working on voluntary basis, led by one Victor Milimu, to actually bring AFC into your bedrooms so that you can become part and parcel of AFC. I can assure you, by end of this year, we want to hit 10,000. And I can assure you, before I finish my first term, we want it to hit 100,000 to 200,000. Why am I saying registered paid up members who you have their details, you have their everything. That is the way we want to go. I've been chasing sponsorship for the last 6 months, and the question you've asked has always been coming up. At a press of a button, how many members do you have?
Yes.
Yeah. And you see, it is important for the corporate world because they want to see numbers. They want to have numbers.
Yeah.
And that's why it is key to have a media team which will, on a daily basis, remind our members, here is where we are. And that is the way we are going. I accept it is a shame on us having only 2,000 members, but we have to build it. And I'm happy. I came in, during our elections, only 700 members came. But as we speak, we have about 2,000 members. We want to push that to 10,000. Then from there, we leverage on that 10,000.
What method are you using to reach them? Face-to-face, social media, local campaigns, barazas?
We are using social media. We are using more so through our media team. We are trying to create content. And after creating content, they usually see, we usually capture FC training, FC traveling, FC being in a camp, doing what, and sending all this to them. Now we have actually started going to blasting from the past. We are getting former players, their photographs, their everything, the Wilberforce Mulambas of this world, and we are sending to members. We actually flooding them into our social medias. So you find that some people have started getting interested. They ask you, where is this player? Then from there you engage them. Then you find them registering.
Do you have on-ground campaigns as well? Because as much as we all love social media, a lot of your core fans are people on the ground. They want you to speak to them face to face.
At the moment,
do you have any local programs? And I'm asking Rachier as well as Gor Mahia chairman.
Yes, I got a little bit beyond that in my marketing. For example, we do have a Kogalo Day every Saturday in Radio Citizen. Every Saturday, 1 hour. We talk about that. There's always somebody. We got two people always who go to talk about.
Which radio?
Citizen. Radio Ramogi. It's Ramogi, but it's a Citizen one.
Oh,
Radio Ramogi.
Said they're being unfair to FC.
Yes. You have Mulembe.
Yeah.
So.
No.
You have Radio Mulembe.
Yeah, we have some shows in
so
Radio
we do
Mulembe.
have a show on every Saturday. I think about 12 to 1 o'clock. We don't pay for it, but they engage. We engage all the fans. Two, I'm frequently campaigning. I have done through Mayenga. I've done Hot 96. I've done Dala. I've done 7.
So you've done a media tour
with
the traditional local stations.
I've done that. And of course, before COVID, we had our very enthusiastic fans talking about these in the stadium. So we've approached it in a multifaceted fashion.
How many registered members do you have?
Appalling.
Sorry, Caro.
No,
It's okay. He's taking over my job, but it's fine, yeah.
No, I would want to.
How many registered fans does Gor Mahia have?
Oh, we have 500 or less.
500?
Yes, 500 registered ones. But I have 150.
Shame on you.
Just hold on.
Sorry.
I thought my numbers
no,
were
shame
low.
on the club, not you.
Yes.
No, he's the head. Shame
Just
on him.
Just hold it.
Okay, we have held
Just
it.
hold it.
You have held it.
After I had about 2,000. It's a good reason why I'm talking about 500, because we have a registered members forum in our social media, and there are 400 something. But we have a forum of a pay bill of 156,000 people, something that we established in 2015 as a fundraising mechanism.
156,000.
Yes, we have 6, and I can show you the print. So
then why are your players going without being paid and you have all
But are
this
those are people who responded to a fundraising campaign?
Yes.
Or those are people who pay frequent registration membership fees?
Yes, if you give me time, I'll just expand very quickly. Now, the registration fee, membership fee, is 1,200 shillings, which works out at 100 shillings per month.
Same to us.
And I could only say that the only people who make that payment regularly are the 400 members. Now, the other 156, depending on appeal from time to time, somebody sends in 10 shillings. If you look at the register, somebody sends 10 shillings, somebody 300 shillings, somebody 800 shillings. So you can, I wanted to give a true picture, so that if you look at a registered book, it's only regular people, 400 people. Yeah. And then the ones you can call members, but who are not don't make any regular payment. Is when they feel they want to make payment, they pay to Safaricom, 10 shillings, pay bill, etc. So those I can call them members loosely, but registered members are only 400. 400, 400 members only. So
I've beaten you this year.
Yes, but just I think
for me these are really worrying figures.
Yes, it is. It is.
The people who actually sit back on social media and make so much noise and criticize what you do and say what are your plans for Gor Mahia are actually not registered paid up members, but they
that is exactly why I am making this point here, and I hope they are hearing me, and I stand to be corrected. The registered members of Gor Mahia are between 400 and 500, and those who could potentially become registered members are over 150,000, judging from my pay bill 350, 100. I am making it.
Your pay bill, for example, I will contribute to every single fundraising for a football team as long as my
so
pocket
you contribute
allows.
To Gor Mahia, you don't contribute.
I contributed to your bus.
When?
I have
That's 10 years ago.
merchandise at home. I have Madari United merchandise. I contribute to all campaigns. You had a Harambe the other day. I sent in money.
Oh,
congratulations.
Arocho sent in
but
money.
you see, I cannot then become a member of every single club. So you need to maybe your officers need to be more aggressive in reaching out to these fans, because I'm sure they're sitting somewhere thinking, hey, our
point
send it.
Point taken.
Nobody reminds them.
Point taken, and I hope I hope that our fans are hearing this loud and clear, and I'm open to be challenged. If you think there are more, please come and give the evidence. Thank
By
you.
the way, our phone line is open. If you want to call and ask a question, the number should be on your screen, 0795 510 160. 0795 510 160 should be on your screen. Call us if you have a question for any of these gentlemen. I do have a question here from Sharon. We spoke to, she sent a comment earlier. She said, this question is for Ambrose Rachier. What happened to Kogalo ladies team? I was the captain and we made a mistake of having yellow kit. Okay, I wonder if that's the reason enough to end our journey indefinitely. Okay, I think that was on a light touch. But Sharon Nyaseme says, what happened to Gor Mahia women's team?
It died. Well, she was the captain, and I think her departure left a vacuum.
She went with the
and
team.
she ought to have, I believe she ought to really have left also. Well, we talked about structures, or let somebody as a successor, because it was not being run by us as an office. We gave them support, but they had to organize themselves in their own way. In other words, how to make a team, football team, a ladies team, captain, players, recruitment was never done by the office. She did it, and I want to really commend her for doing that. If she could help us reviving it by letting us know who can best do it, because it's very difficult for us to revive it in our own way because of lack of expertise in that line.
I must commend, there's a gentleman I met on phone called Fred Omondi. I think he's the team that runs Gor Mahia youth team. And they sent me a video, and they're very active on social media. And apart from Gor Mahia, I don't know whether AFC has an active youth team, because that is one way to groom the next generation of players, is it not?
To be honest.
And then we'll take your calls just now. If you've called, please call back in about 1 minute. I'll take your call.
To be honest, we have a semi-active youth team. We haven't focused much on that, but as we begin the new season, we are going to focus much on that, because I believe, as a former player, youth team is the foundation of everything. At the moment, I have some crisis because I have some good youth players, and I need to place them somewhere so that they'll remain in the system.
Please bring them to Gor Mahia. We have a very good youth team. Bring them along.
We're investing in our youth team, and we want to make sure that it is participating so that it can actually also be part of the structure that we are building.
Because you're also, by virtue of having won the league several times, you're also chairman of the board of the Kenyan Premier League. And there was a time the Kenyan Premier League expected every single team to have a youth team.
Actually, it is CAF. First of all, I want to just say that we do have a very active youth team which plays in Division 1, Provincial Division 1 in Nairobi. But to answer Carol's question, the requirement of having a youth team is actually a CAF compliance requirement, hence through the federation. And when the auditing clubs every year, one of the requirements is that you need to demonstrate that you have a youth team.
And somehow it doesn't happen.
So I want to urge my friend to just put a little bit more effort to not make it semi-active, just to make it fully active. I know there are financial challenges. We ourselves, we pay the coaches.
To have a youth team. Yeah. Let me take the first call. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, what's your name?
I'm Winnie calling from Nairobi.
Winnie, who's your question for? And please ask the question.
I want to ask both gentlemen a question, both a lawyer and a doctor. They're talking about the numbers. My chairman in FC talks about 2,000 members, and his counterpart talks about 500 members.
Yes.
They're not talking about using their branches, actively branches, to ensure that the numbers are growing. How are they supposed to grow the numbers when none of them is talking about growing their branches, having more branches, Mashinani, Nairobi, all over the country, and we tend to know these are national teams? Kindly ask them.
They have heard. Thank you very much. You've heard the question. Yes. Why are you not strengthening the branches?
It's interesting because you find that the branches have their own dynamics, but it is important because they are part and parcel of the club, and they are the routes that we can take to get more members. I've been trying to get more branches, but you find that when a branch is being formed, you hear it has actually split from branch A to form branch B, and then there are politics in between. So when you try to support this branch, it's like you're the one who split this. But at the end of the day, what she said is key for these teams to grow, because with branches, we'll get an easy avenue to network, to have catchment points.
Because they're on the ground.
They're on the ground. And that's the way to go. I'm trying to make sure that I have at least 100 branches by the end of this year. So if each of them can give me at least 50 members, I'll be hitting 5,000.
Shikanda, you know I will call you back by the end of the year.
I want you to call me
back. I
back.
want to know those branches, those membership, all these things. Branches, Rachier?
Yes, we do have 121 branches for Gor Mahia all over the world. We have Australian branch. We have we have the diaspora. I can demonstrate by just showing you my phone and communicating with them right away with the diaspora. We have all those branches, but one thing that you have said, Dan, which is very, very, very true, is that they have their own dynamics. They register at the branch level, so the money goes to the branch. But when you open a national forum, national register for the membership, that is the distinction I'm drawing. That in the national register of members who pay, because you can become...
They don't affiliate to you?
They are affiliated, but they pay as, for example, 10,000 shillings. The branch sends you 10,000 shillings per year.
Okay.
That is from their that is the contribution as a block, right? Yes, they give you
regardless of how much they've raised.
Yes, regardless of how much they are raised. That's the dynamics you're talking about. They they organize even their own tournaments. They organize parties. They organize activities even beyond football.
So they're raising money, but for themselves. It never gets to the national office or to the club.
Some of it comes to us. I am saying, and this should come out very clearly, that every branch sends to the head office 10,000, or should send 10,000.
10,000, how frequently?
The branch is affiliated to us. The members do not, we require them to come and register directly under that arrangement where we should be having...
There's a comment here. There's a comment here from Eric Oluoch. She says the reason why Gor Mahia and AFC cannot grow is because of misappropriation of our little revenue, and then in brackets he puts gate collection by the management. For instance, in Gor Mahia, the officials are looting the club's gate collection. There is no fan who will become a member without transparency by the management.
Yes.
And this is not the first time I'm hearing this.
Right. Interesting.
Good. I think he's entitled to his opinion, and those are allegations that you can only say to be wild. Yes, there are problems of accountability, usually. You can't say you're 100% clean, that the monies are all accounted for. But I would just invite him to come and demonstrate how this happens. It might help me also to know what happens here and there. But usually when with people such as the ones that are talking, you ask them, how much did you pay yourself? You find that he has never paid a single cent himself to Gor Mahia and debility. I'm often in radio saying, look, we are calling for funds and the
club, and the way they run the club, that seems to be where the problems are. Because I know for a fact, and I've been at Gor Mahia games, where I can count the funds myself, and at the end of the day, they say 1,000 shillings. And yet, if you count and do your own calculation in your head, it should be 100,000 shillings. And I think that is what discourages fans from...
Yes, can I quickly say this? You are quite right in what you are saying, whether it is standoffish, standoffishness, I think that should be the word, or otherwise. The position that happens is this: a number of our fans want to come in without paying.
Yeah,
so you can count them, but they have not paid. Particularly in Kasarani, where I'm decrying the lack of stadia like Nyayo, where accountability is very easy, and City Stadium. Nyayo, once you get into that open thing out there, you just jump and get anywhere. So you end up with 10,000. You end up with 10,000 fans, who out of whom maybe.
Give us 1 second.
Yes, you end up with 10,000 fans. The center stand
actually paid.
No, maybe only 2,000 paid or 1,000 paid.
Hello. Yes. What's your name? Stephen. What's your question, please?
Okay, my question is to both chairman. I'm just asking them, when are they planning to come to visit our places like Leopards? Let's kind of organize how FC players can come and visit places like Amity players, play with some small clubs at Riga, Amity, Kakamega. We only know of going Kakamega and Bukongo. Let them plan and come at this side so that we can even find some people membership so that people will join the club.
Thank you for your question. You've heard that, Shikanda. He said, when are you taking AFC Leopards to play in places like Vihiga and Samitsi?
We have actually started doing that. I can assure you, the last time we did pre-season in Mumias, we visited some towns, and even I think 2 months ago, before the league stopped, we actually played in Bukura and we played at St. Peter's Mumias. We're actually devolving the team back to where it comes from. But just to answer what my senior Rachier was trying to talk about, you see, our members say that there's a lot of money in gates. And maybe, I'm sorry, even me, sometimes back I used to think like that. But once people come into the stadium, especially the familiar faces that you see at the stadium always, they don't pay. And you can see a crowd.
By the way, the VIP is full of people who don't want to pay.
Who don't want to pay.
You need to stop being friends with them.
No. You see, when these people come, they harass people at the gate. It is me with FC. Where umekuwa happy tukitengeneza FC. So they come in. Number one. Number two, any money is paid. For example, if you're charging 200 per person and there are 100 people, it is not 2,000 that the club will be given. There are other deductions which will happen. And then at the end of the day, you'll be given a net, not a gross. But you find that
still,
our members,
if you do the calculation, because they release the full amount, and then you can break it down to say this percentage went to the stadium, this went to security, this went to medical costs, whatever it is, and this is what the club remains. But it never adds up to the number of fans. But I think you've made it clear that your fans,
they're those
us, we are our own worst enemy.
we have those who pay religiously.
But on the flip side, you need to rein in on those who handle the gates.
I do agree with you that we cannot be fully blameless. We are to blame to an extent, but we also want to just bring these challenges. For example, if the entry fee is 200 shillings, there are fans who come ready with 50 shillings, and they pass. So you can count them in there, but they have paid 50 shillings to somebody who is corrupt
not
here.
to the club.
At the gate.
Yes,
At the
the
gate.
gate. They pay 50 shillings and they go in. Some pay as low as 20 shillings. And you see the person manning the gate, not even the person collecting.
Why can't you introduce electronic ticketing? And I know
That has been disastrous. Yeah, it has been disastrous. It's got its own challenges. Where somebody buys the ticket, carries the phone. They first of all send that message to even 100 people. So they come and show you the same message that, look, I paid. That is another...
Recruit a professional company, because if you get one of these...
yes, it's developing. We are getting...
Ticketing or Ticketsasa, whatever it is, they scan it. They will actually scan that, and you cannot scan that. You cannot have that scan more than once.
We're getting there.
Once you're in, you're in. If you get out, pole sana.
Caro, I'll go back to our culture. We started the same.
At some point, you advance from culture.
No.
We'll go. If it's not working,
our members pay. Our members come to the stadium 20 minutes to time. That's the time he's paying. He's struggling with technology. Then he comes. This thing of yours is not working. They want to.
You know what? There has to be some years where you bite the bullet.
Yes.
As in, if you're not here on time and you don't go through security and you don't get scanned, you don't get in. And
Yes.
after a while, people will learn, because you have to advance. We can't live in the Stone Age forever.
Carol, they jump. They will jump over and come in or break.
Caro, the next...
Which brings us back to infrastructure, which I cannot put on you guys.
The next AFC Leopards, the next league that starts, we will actually go down that way. If you're not at the stadium 1 hour before game, please, we don't want your money. Wacha wale wamekuja mapema, let them. Because we need to put structures in place. We need to change some mindsets. We need to change some cultures. And when you are telling people that you can actually come to the stadium anytime, guys come, all of them, 10 minutes time. Then when the match starts and they hear, wow!
Then the challenge you will see is a stream of some 300 fans jumping somewhere and coming, running very, very fast and entering without paying. That is my experience. When you try to be strict and say, you are not coming in because of this. I'm not trying to discourage you.
I will be very strict.
I'm also just telling you one of the challenges that you need to prepare for. Thank you.
As clubs, and this is, I'm part of this organization called Just a Study, which I'm sure you've heard about. And we also face that challenge of people coming in last minute. But one of the things we've tried to do is introduce activities and things for people to do at the stadium before the game.
Okay.
Right now, there's nothing. If they come early, you sit like this. If you're lucky, the mama of Njugu comes. And that is it until you watch the game. But if you try and introduce this entertainment from 2-3 hours before the game, people can come early. They have something to do. They have places to buy snacks. They have activities that can encourage them to go to the game early. I want to read a comment here from Jacob A. Wanjomo. And this is AFC Leopards manager. You're managing the club very professionally. And I would really like to know what makes you different from Gor Mahia. I'm not sure that is. There's a guy here.
No, you're not sure? Why are you not sure? You need to. That is his opinion. You have to be sure.
Suji Kere, Shikanda is very honest and can be a very successful chairman.
Is he?
He's encouraging you along the way.
Very good.
And then there's a comment here from repeating them to us. Let's talk solutions. How have you tried to solve some of these problems? Very valid.
Yes, very valid point. Yes, the ticketing is possible to go e-ticket, and I'm sorry to repeat that it has got its own challenges. Solution for Stadia, and I'm incapable of doing anything about dealing with corruption, where you come in and pay 50 shillings instead of paying 2. So those are the problems. You try them, sir, and you cannot make them. I want you to join me in doing this. Thank you.
There's someone here who's saying maybe you need to be investing. Rateng Mork, it's the same guy actually. He says invest. Come on.
Then you pay that Rateng. You have to pay that security.
But maybe that's the solution.
Yes,
you
but
pay properly and you get professionals to manage the game.
And where, Carol, do you get that money to pay the security? You ask down here, one thing that you will see.
You recruit fans.
Yes, wait, let me just tell you. The fans who want to watch football, recruit them to be out at the gate. What we are saying is, you look at, when you receive 1 million shillings from Kasarani, you'll be lucky to go away with 100,000 shillings.
Hey, 100 is too much.
Because
with 10,000
first,
shillings.
that stadium takes 20%. Then there is something called cleaning, which they charge you 35,000 shillings. Then the hire for the VIP. Then the payment booking for the stadium. So that out of that 1 million, the stadium itself will have taken almost 400,000 shillings.
They took 550,
Then
600
you
from
have
me the
to,
other day.
if I give you a budget to see what you do there, what to be able to host a match, you end up usually with 1/10 of what you pay. So
Yeah,
those are
it's true.
Can I ask you two gentlemen, how are we going to fix this?
Carol, to me, from where I sit, the way out is infrastructure, both physical, technological, and mindset.
So you're saying until we get proper stadia, we cannot professionally run our clubs?
For example, if you tell somebody we are going to play, first of all,
You're basically telling us we are doomed.
No, we are not doomed. We are actually also challenging the people who are in a position to help our football. When I was going to play Gor Mahia second leg, I never knew where I was going to host that match until Friday.
Yes, I remember it
until Friday. It is a nightmare. The ministry tells you we are not giving you Kasarani. Machako says we don't want FC and Gor to play here, they will destroy everything. Nakuru tells you the same. So by the time you are knowing that you are playing in Kasarani on Friday, how are you going to hype the game? Number one. Number two, we need members who can come up and support these clubs. The same members who make a lot of noise are the same members who come to pay 50 bob. I am proud of my 2,000. They've taken me through the season. And I've realized lessons learned from Sports Pesa Living, we can do without a sponsor. And why I'm saying we can do it without a sponsor, if I plan, for example, to run AFC effortless a whole season, I need 100 million. If a sponsor gives me, Sports Pesa are giving us 57 million. If I can get that 57 million and then cover the 43 million, that is okay. But if it is not coming, how can I raise this budget? So that I have this money, as we start the league, we start playing knowing that, or knowing very well where this money will come from. Because that's the only way we can go forward. Than getting somebody telling you, you are not doing anything, and him, personally, he's not doing anything.
There's someone here who writes, Joel Ondeko, he says Adore. Is that your
Yes,
pet
Ambrose
name?
Dixon Rachier, Otieno Rachier.
Yeah.
Ambrose Dixon Otieno Rachier. Adore.
Adore.
Yes.
Hey, I've been seeing it repeatedly and I'm like, Allah,
Yes,
there's a
those
third
are
guest here.
my initials.
Adore is honest while Shikanda is dreaming.
You have to dream to get somewhere.
Maybe use the word experienced as
No. But
gaining
Carol,
experience.
we need to bring some drastic changes.
There's a question here from Colin Suje. He says to the chairman, do they have post-COVID-19 plans to ensure the smooth running of their teams? Because we need solutions. What are your post-COVID plans? Now the league has gone, you have more time than usual to plan for the next season, hopefully in August. How will you ensure the smooth running of your teams?
I can tell you for free, I think this year, the season is meant to begin in August. I am foreseeing us playing in empty stadiums. And I'm foreseeing no corporate coming near us because they'll be thinking we cannot generate anything for them. So the plans we have as management of AFC is to come with different products in the name of the club to see what revenue they can bring in to bridge the gap of the fans coming to
like
the stadium.
FC Mafuta.
FC Water, Ingwe Water. There's lots of demand for sanitizer. We do a sanitizer, branded AFC. Yeah, and then we see what it can do. Our people are consumers. If they can actually buy into that and use that water to support the club, now that a few of them think giving the club money directly is like the money will be embezzled, that is the way I think post-COVID is the way we will have to go. Because
is he dreaming?
We will need more money.
I don't think Dan is dreaming. But for me, I have put in place a team that really is supposed to work around just to see what is to be done post-COVID. I still have not got a report on that. You got a bit ahead of me because you already come up with what you want to do. But for me, I have put in place a team to look at it because there's several factors. We are not going to talk about even this until FKF and KPL decide on
where we are playing.
Who's running the league?
Who's running the
We're
league?
not sure.
who is running the league, when is it going to resume, and there's that MOU that's supposed to be ending on 24th of September. We don't know when the league will even start, talking about August. So it's very difficult to begin to plan because you need to say about timing so far. Particularly our federation is just doing nothing. And you may ask me why I'm not even running for the current. You read it, you ask them, okay, what exactly are you doing? Because the league is run by the KPL, and we receive nothing at all. We pay the referees, okay? We pay the referees, but they appoint the referees.
We pay for the venues.
Yeah, we pay for the venues. And so we just say, what is exactly the federation is doing in terms of
Supporting the top.
supporting the league itself that it wants to take? It is nothing. And I challenge the current, and even the previous one is the same. I'm not making an attack on the current or the current office. It has been the same since 2008. The league itself, we have won the league several times here. And I'm telling you that we don't even have a trophy. So you can perhaps blame the KPL. We would think that that is where the FKF should be coming in. We go to play outside this country. We raise, and one of the problems of poor performance out there is that we have financial challenges. There's nothing that comes from the federation. They only want us to carry their official and pay the official and pay for their accommodation, pay for their ticket. So we are the ones kind of supporting the federation. So I am saying we get nil. So what the federation can be said to be doing is to run the NSL, which itself is running in a big shambles, if you ask me. So one of our biggest problems is the federation. It needs to be completely restructured, and we get to hear that they're getting money from FIFA. We don't see a single cent out of it ourselves. So it does not trickle down to football.
But is FIFA money supposed to come to clubs? Isn't it supposed
it's supposed to run
development?
It's supposed to develop football. So what are they developing in football? What is it? Is it the Harambee teams? They take our players, get them injured. Philemon Otieno gets injured. I have to struggle. He has to struggle on his own. They are brought to you when they are broken. They are taken
from national duty.
From national duty. They do nothing whatsoever in supporting these. And we build. So we are saying they should be developing the national team player. We develop the national team player. They pick them from us. They pick the players from us.
And they do nothing.
They go and play, come back. They are injured. Problem of the club. If you don't release them, you have problems with them. You're being defiant. I've just said a tip of the iceberg of all these things.
It is the tip of the iceberg.
Yes, but just says it is nothing.
You see, Carl, at the end of the day, it is the clubs who fund the league. Just like what Chairman is saying here. When you are supposed to pay from the referee to the security to ambulance to ball boys to what, it's the clubs which pay. And that's why when our members say, we saw so many people at the stadium, where is the money? This money has actually gone into paying these guys. Yeah. So after paying that, what do you get? 4,000. I've been given 4,000 at Machakos like 3-4 times. And your players are there. Even transport to take them, when you drop them to town, to take them home. It comes from, and when members start saying that our gate collection is managed, officials use more money to get the team there than what is gotten at the gate. So how will you be taking 4,000 and you've already used 200,000 to take the team?
You know, my only concern with this conversation this afternoon is that we've gone so round in circles because my understanding, and I'm not as experienced as you two, is that clubs should sustain themselves.
Yes.
The KPL themselves should get their own sponsors, which they don't have, but of which all club chairmen sit on the board. I'm not sure whether the board contributes to KPL in terms of helping them market as the KPL secretariat, not only as clubs. So the clubs don't have money. The KPL secretariat can't seem to market to get money because they should be paying some of these costs you're talking about. The federation, I had the chairman the other day saying he got a lot of sponsorship for cup tournaments and the NSL, but he won't give KPL money because he doesn't manage it. which I thought was a bit tricky because football is under FKF.
Under him, yeah.
But everybody seems to feel it's somebody else's responsibility to generate that revenue. For me, the club is an independent brand.
Yes.
Generate your own revenue.
Yes, you're right.
KPL is an independent brand right now. Generate your own revenue. And I think that comes from branding and marketing, whether it's from
And the
corporates
federation.
or from fans.
And then the federation. Then the government. You see, Carol,
The government, the
you're actually
the sports
answering-
fund. I wish you said something
you're
about
the
the sports
federation.
fund.
You're answering your question.
I'm talking
because-
about KPL.
Yeah.
Federation, for me, the leagues they run,
Yes.
they should take care of the leagues they run. They should take care of the national team. They should probably lobby the government as well to give us the infrastructure we don't have. I'm
Carol,
not the expert here. I'm
I
saying
differ,
my
I
understanding.
differ with you there because the federation is actually the caretaker of football in a country.
But they shouldn't
because,
finance you.
Listen, no, they shouldn't finance us. And that's why I'm telling you, everybody has a role to play. For example, if the government does not give us infrastructure where we can play our matches, how shall we make sure that AFC and Gor Mahia can actually be at the level where they're supposed to be? By the way, let me make this statement. Do you know AFC Leopards is bigger than AFC Leopards and Gor Mahia are bigger than the federation? I've posed a question to you. Now let me continue
Please
from
don't
there.
answer.
Yeah?
I don't want to answer that question.
Let me
I
continue.
don't even understand
You see, the clubs, for example, I can tell you, let me talk about AFC Leopards.
Yeah.
I'm playing my role of bringing a team together, making sure that this team will participate in the league. And that league is under KPL, who are under the federation. But imagine, KPL, we are getting nothing from them. The federation, there's nothing coming from them. We don't want them to give us money, but we want them, for example, they appoint the referees. Why don't they pay the referees? You appoint for me a referee who comes and messes up our matches, and then I end up paying.
So you want to appoint your own referees? Or
We,
would you
we,
want
we
to-
have been appointing referees and paying them.
as
KPL.
KPL.
As
Yeah.
as
And paying
KPL,
them.
yes.
Now the federation
Recently-
takes the function of appointing referees and it doesn't pay them. So they're not playing their role. The government, we don't have
Are
any-
the referees paid more? I mean, at the end of the day, you have to pay referees. So
Yeah.
is it that the ones that come from federation are paid more than the ones you appoint?
They are the same people.
referees.
But then at the end of the day, you still have to pay them.
Yeah, the issue is this. Why do you want to control the referees
And you're not paying
and
them.
then you're not paying them? You're asking somebody else to pay them. That is a question that needs to be answered. What is the justification?
So they want some control that they
So
should
it's a
not
control.
have.
It's a
If
con-
you've
it's a-
left
it's a
the KPL
control.
to run the KPL, let
Yeah,
the KPL
let
run
the
the
KPL.
KPL.
They're the same
If you
faces,
take
by the
them
way.
there- So, and Caro, if today KPL runs a superb league, the league becomes the best in Africa, who takes the credit?
The federation will take the credit.
Then, and then the government. So, in a nutshell, what I'm saying, we have left these things to the club to fight for themselves out. KPL are on a corner, not doing much. Federation left it ile ni ligi ya wale. The government thinks football, maybe it's not something important. Maybe these youths who don't have jobs, they'll get jobs of Mujengo. If the government, and I'm happy, I invited the president to come and watch FC and Gor, and he came. That to me was a serious starting point. Now, we want to build from there. It's unfortunate COVID came in. By now, we could have actually covered a lot of ground in terms of corporate and government starting to look at football as a profession or an industry where we can sort a number of
Can
problems.
create so many
Yes.
jobs.
Yeah,
Create
we can create so many jobs.
and
Just
bring in
imagine
revenue.
if the
Yeah.
government says from sports fund, 200 million goes to the winner. Then each team from sports fund is given 15 or 20 millions to prepare for the league. Tell me what football will be played at the at the top tier league. Then when the leagues down there see what is happening up, all of them will want to get the top talent to put together a good team so that they can come into this bracket of getting that money, and we'll have sorted our football.
But they'll also need revenue down there to come up to the top flight.
No, but just
it's like a
excitement
chicken.
up
No,
there.
no Mutuma here says create a better marketing strategy and proper branding, and have the right individuals to do all these. Do you have professional marketers within your secretariats?
We do. We do, not in the secretariat. We, for example, I have
within your club.
Within the club, yes. No, they are not fully employed by us, but we engage them on a consultancy basis.
We have named 2 gentlemen, Ronald Namai and Joseph Murule, to lead our marketing team, and we expect them to expose the brand more and even the little things that we'll be doing to make sure they reach our fans and we collect some revenue.
Somebody here, Dolphina A. Odhiambo, says Federation should engage the government as a major stakeholder to build the infrastructure needed and enact policies for corporate business to support the game. Federation and the government should make the environment for football to thrive, which is what you've been saying.
Thank you.
We need
What's her
the
name?
infrastructure.
That is exactly what we need.
Thank you.
Dolphina A. Odhiambo, you want to hire her?
Yes, that is
I think she's a Gor Mahia fan.
That is exactly what football in this country needs.
Yes.
Period. Then tell Gor Mahia and FC to bring quality teams to play. You'll see football growing.
But you know, we're in trouble now because I think me and you, we all know that the stadia are not coming anytime soon.
Well, I saw that the Director General was saying that the Nyayo Stadium should be ready by end of this month. We'll really celebrate.
Nyayo Stadium
Yes.
is ready when there's a political event.
Yes. I have been...
for some reason.
Yes. In 2012, I was able to raise 5.6 million in our match against AFC
At
Leopards.
Nyayo.
Yes, that's the highest
And
raised
FC has
in the
raised
league.
FC has raised 6.8. I was told
6.8.
by former
Yes.
chairman Alan
At
Kasavuni.
Nyayo
At
before.
Nyayo,
You see,
6.8
so
million.
talking about revenue that we are complaining about, that infrastructure is crucial for us in terms of a friendly place. You see, most fans find it very difficult to get to Kasarani.
Yeah.
Yes.
They will easily come to Nyayo or to City Stadium. And whatever happened to City Stadium?
And Nyayo, you
Whatever
can't
happened
climb
in
over
Nyayo?
the...
You can't climb.
Yeah,
you can't climb.
So those are...
We've knocked on the governor's door.
Yes.
Several
Several.
tenders are
Several
happening.
times. Yes.
for almost
And
3
there's
years.
one question that I keep raising here, but not even my friend Dan is asking. What happened to the sports fund and what is its purpose?
But I've been saying the sports fund, if we can get only 200 million for
Yes.
for the
So
Champions
what
League.
was it established for?
So to raise money.
Yes, I mean,
For...
But
for what purpose? I mean,
you
just-
see, you see,
I'm delivering.
And it's,
I'm-
and it's,
I'm-
I was
I'm just
corrected
being-
the
I'm
other
just-
day.
I'm just being
Under the
rhetorical,
Ministry
you
of
know.
I was
Fund-
corrected
and-
that is sports and culture fund.
yeah.
That is why
Sports
I
and
asked for
culture.
100 million the other day. Yes,
Okay.
it's not just sports fund. I was
Okay.
corrected and said it is sport and culture fund.
And even from the policies they have, even some money goes to health. You remember some money was taken to
For COVID.
not even for
No,
COVID,
in the national budget last year.
before even COVID.
In the
Yes.
national
Yeah,
budget,
some money was taken there to health. But all said
4
and
billion.
done, and there is where, Carol, we come in strongly and say the federation has let us down because you don't expect us to go and start asking the government what is the fund doing. It is the federation to play to play at that level, so that me and Chairman Rachier here, ours is to build our teams to make sure that our players do not come and say we haven't been paid.
Can you form a group, since you're influential people in football, can you form a group and go and appeal to this government of ours?
The
And tell
federation
them,
should do that.
okay.
That's what Dan
Once
is
you
saying.
do-
Go
once you
speak-
say that,
go and
they
speak
say
to-
una
because-
I'm sure you can knock on Nick's door and tell Nick, let's go to that
Okay.
Yeah, answer that one.
Kencom House. Let's go to Kencom House. Let's explain it like you're explaining to a child that these are how many youth
Yes.
who can be employed in this industry. This is how much revenue can be generated from a sport industry that works. This is why we need stadia. Someone told me the other day on Twitter, why are you guys complaining about stadia and the ones you have are always empty? So even on our side, let's say this is what we need to do in recruiting our fans, in showing our fans, when you give us 100 bob, it is used correctly. So that I have faith in going and giving my club membership fee.
All those are relevant,
paying for
Carol.
gates.
All those are relevant. In other words, what you're saying is that
When-
there are solutions, and I keep saying this. We have our own challenges ourselves as leaders of football, and we do not want to say that we've done our best, or that we are
That
doing
we are
it.
the
So
best.
that's number one. And then we think that the fans must play their roles. In fact,
Fans must
yes,
play their
they
role.
must play their role.
But the fans
The
also need the
KPL,
confidence.
Yes, the KPL must play its role. The federation must play its role.
role.
The government must play its role. All of us. And this is what we have been auditing the whole of this afternoon. We are auditing here and there. We keep repeating. Somebody charged me with repeating. You see, unless you identify the problems, unless you diagnose the disease, you're not able to treat it. So we are trying to do a diagnosis, and then we are going to do a prescription afterwards.
You know, we are doing
I
things.
thought he was the doctor.
Carol, we are doing things empirically.
And
We are looking at football and saying, it will just happen. It won't happen. It must be made to happen. And this lady has summed it up. When each and every person plays their role, we are home and dry.
And then tell your friends they're at Kasarani. They don't want to pay at the gate.
Yes,
They start that
yeah,
"Do you know who I am?" speech.
Yes.
So even change the people at the gate. Yes, you who don't smile, tell them you will pay. It's 1,000 bob. You're coming here in a Mercedes. Pay it. You know. So also be strict with your friends.
There are
Yes.
some
The 1
protocols.
hour is over. Parting shot, and then we go. What's your parting shot? Who wants to go first? What's your parting shot? What's the future?
Okay, I think the party must play my role. And as I just summarized it, we know the stakeholders.
Play your role.
Play your role. Thank you.
Shikanda?
I just want to remind
30
members.
seconds, eh?
Yeah, I just want to remind members, fans, and every stakeholder, government, everybody, including you, that football is for all of us. It is not the person at the helm. For example, it's not about Nick Mwendwa to run the federation professionally, or Rachier to run Gor Mahia professionally, or me. It is all of us coming together is to make sure that our football moves to the next level. And I'll tell FC Leopards fraternity, we are getting somewhere, like all of them, to actively participate. Don't just wait and start criticizing. Especially now, we need to build a team for future. We need funds. We'll need everything. So I'm calling them to come and participate.
And take responsibility. Chairman, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Ambrose Rachier, Gor Mahia Chairman, Dr. Dan Shikanda, AFC Leopards Chairman, and you guys who tune in every weekend. Thank you for watching, and I hope you got airtime. I sent airtime, 2,000 bob, 1,000 bob to 2 people. I hope you got it.
The two of us.
No. Oh. And we'll see you next week here on Radull and YouTube. But thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.